playoff basketball.
I agree 100%. I mean, look at Ron Artest. All right, so he hard fouled. He had a hard foul last night. Wound up getting ejected with like 23 seconds left in the game. You know, I mean, that was a hard foul. It wasn't official. What was his intent to try to hurt anybody? He hard fouled, which is all right in the game. I don't mind a physical game. But then you got Sasha Vujovic and earlier on in the game, and he laid my man out, and he didn't get nothing. You know what I mean?
Right.
You know.
Good God. Yo, hold on, baby. Yeah, I'm here. Hold on, baby. I got a technical difficulty. There we go. All right. Go ahead. Continue, sir.
All right, yeah. And I just don't feel as though that's right. And then, you know, I don't mind a physical game. I mean, let's call it fair across the board. I mean, the first time Artest got ejected for the game, he got for arguing that Kobe was elbowing him. He gets thrown out for arguing the fact that he's getting fouled tremendously and nobody's getting any calls on it.
Correct.
You know what I mean? You know, let's call it even across the board. If you want to call it a foul, call it a foul. But if you want to call it a technical chill, call it a technical chill on everybody, not just on who you want to call it on.
And I hear that all day. It is the top of the hour. You listening to Go Dominion Sports with your boy Dizz Dominion on the phone with my man Supreme calling in from New Jersey. He's got the hot statistics and analysis over across the board. Right now we're talking NBA. Currently in Flint, we have a 80% chance of showers. It is 50 degrees with a little bit of light rain with a wind about it's 21 miles an hour to the north if you really need to know all that. So, WKUF 94.3, Kettering Radio. Catch us online, www.wkuf.com. Get on the web stream, and that's what it's all about. Now, back to these playoffs here. You know, formalities there, sir. I'm sorry about that. But,
all right.
Yeah, they're not calling it fair across the board. Let's talk about the Lakers and the Rockets a little bit.
Wow.
Where do you want to start with that? I'll just let you just go ahead and just dive into that. Go ahead.
Well, I want to talk about the Lakers and the Rockets. I want to talk about how, I got to talk about, and I can't say that I'm the biggest Lakers fan, but they know how to win games. Right now, they're knowing how to win games. The Rockets are playing it tough. Yao Ming's a little banged up right now. We got to see if he's going to come back in this next game. You know, he's averaging 12 points a game, close to 8 rebounds, few block shots a game. Ron Artest is doing his thing. You know, it's just a matter of stopping Kobe from scoring his 30 points a night. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So, how about the high physicality of this series? I mean, they're really taking it to each other, man.
And I love that. I love that. But we'll go back again once on the let's call it foul, and let's let them play the game. If you're gonna allow it to be a physical game, let it be a physical game everywhere. Don't just let it be a physical game. And because your prima donna players are getting hurt or getting smacked down a little bit, that you want to call a check two on somebody else because they have a reputation of being I use the air quotations, a bad boy, i.e. Ron Artest,
Right. I mean, that's the way I see it too, man. I do believe that there just needs to be a standard of officiating. It should not matter if LeBron James slaps me across the face or if Darko Milicic were to slap you across the face. A foul is a foul. A tech is a tech. Ejection is an ejection. It should be all the way down because you get these situations at the end of the game where referees are making personal judgment calls that are making the outcome of the series in the game, especially when there's ejections involved.
Exactly, and I will say, and it shows growth on Ron Artest on his part by saying that after the game, or actually during the game, as the referee was ejecting him, the referee did take the time to explain to Artest why he was being ejected. He said it would have been a 1 if he didn't fall awkwardly, but because he fell awkwardly, that's what made it a 2.
Okay, and see, I'm glad that you brought that up because it would have been a 1, but because he fell awkwardly, it would have been it ended up being a 2, right?
Right.
Now, when they were examining the Rajon Rondo foul on Brad Miller in the first round, they were saying that even though Brad Miller fell awkwardly and his face ended up bleeding and such, it was a 1 and not a 2 because there was no malicious intent.
Right.
And that, to me, is just the complete opposite on a pretty similar call. You know, Brad Miller takes a big spill. It's real bloody and gory, but the intent wasn't bad, so Rondo gets the one. On the flip side, same type of deal goes down. You got a guy who falls awkwardly, and what should have been a one ends up being a two.
Yeah, I agree with you 100% on that. I'm just going off of how Artest is taking it and saying to himself, to the media, well, that's at least he explained it to me and he told me the reason why. I agree with you on that. Rondo should have been ejected from that from that hard foul on Brad Miller. And I don't know if the referees look at it as if, all right, well, Rondo's 6-something, was he 6'1", 6'2",
right?
And then Brad Miller was pushing 7 foot, close to 300-something pounds, and Rondo is 6'2", maybe 200 pounds at that. Maybe they're looking at the size difference and saying, well, how can this smaller player have any malicious intent on hurting this larger player? Now, I hope that's not what they're looking at because the foul's a foul. You know what I mean?
Oh, man. I mean, all of us have been out to a bar and seen the little guy complex kick in, man. The little guy jumps in the big guy's face. I mean, they are not afraid. And there may be more malicious intent on the little guy's part than the big guy.
I have to agree with you on that. I want it to be fair across the board. I love a physical game.
Oh, me too.
Let's keep it a physical game, but let's call it fair. Now, if they wind up, I don't know how many technicals Artest has throughout the season, but if they wind up suspending Artest because it's 2 in a row that he just got, now that's definitely wrong. That's definitely wrong, and that's right now with Yao Ming being banged up, and if they suspend Artest for a game, I mean, Houston doesn't stand a chance.
Yeah, I mean, it's looking bad, and I was pulling for the Lakers, but I don't like to see anybody officiated through a round, let alone, to a championship like what we had last year. Anyway, I mean, teams still have to make the shots, but, they were helped out with the calls, man. Some of the games in the finals were crazy with the fouls, but that was last year. When talk about this year, and the inconsistencies in the refereeing has been different, but yet they're still falling short in so many ways from making the game called fairly and making it be all about talent and competitiveness when they're making all of these judgment calls on the floor.
Exactly. You know what I look at it as? I look at it as the same kind of scenario the NFL puts on the quarterbacks. Mm-hmm. They want to protect the quarterbacks because the quarterbacks are all the lifeblood of your team mostly, and the NFL protects the quarterbacks by, late hits, things of that nature, and a lot of those calls are iffy sometimes throughout the season because I see some quarterbacks get smashed after the play's done, and other quarterbacks get touched and it's a 15-yard penalty, If the NBA is trying to salvage their star players by calling these kind of fouls on other players because these star players are getting, hammered or hard fouled or whatever you want to call it, you know what I mean? If that's what they're doing, then say that's what you're doing. You know what I mean? Then just say, well, we're going to protect on NBA is going to protect on, and we don't want to see Kobe Bryant with a broken arm because he took a hard foul.
I would respect that more. I would respect that more.
What's that?
I say I would respect that more.
Oh, most definitely. Most definitely. If you came right out and just told me that's what you're going to do, then let's do it and let's move on from this point on. But don't tell me that you want to call this a fair game if you're not going to call, certain fouls,
Right. I mean, I completely agree with that. And with that series going back to, I mean, I don't know. It's a tough road walk for Houston right now, I would say. With them going for Game 4, I mean, who you think pulls Game 4 out, actually, with the banged-up Yao Ming in L.A. up 2-1?
Lakers. The Lakers are going to pull it out. I think the Lakers are going to win this series. I think they're going to take it in 6. The Rockets make it 1 more. I think the Lakers are going to take it in 6. If Yao doesn't come back, if Yao's hurt and he can't play next game and possibly the game after that, then the Lakers are going to take it in 5. I mean, it's 2-1 right now. The Lakers got the 3rd game, or the 4th game already, I think, in the Rockets' mind.